Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate to be here. So, for those of you in TV world, you probably don't know much about us. In the radio world, um, Yellowtec is a German company that was founded by a actually integration company that everything they kind of came up with was, gee, we wish we had, or we wish we could build or could sell to others. So we ended up creating a unique line of microphone arms, monitor mounts, camera mounts for video radio, which has been huge over in Europe, but of course has been creeping into our markets here in the United States quite well. And then on top of that, we even make things like copy stands. It's amazing how many copy stands for paper I still sell to mount on our system. One of the things that one of my major resellers likes to laugh at every time I say it is that we're the world's greatest erector set. In other words, you can buy everything a la carte or piece by piece to build exactly what you want to build in your radio studio. And we have also had our product put in TV studios too. TV studios like, Fox Sports or ESPN or something like that. And so if we go to the next slide, that was just my opening slide that I created from an advertisement that we created that runs in Radio World. So if we go to the next slide, I can show you some studios. First slide that.
I don't know. I don't know. Let's find out. May not have the dongle in. There we go.
There we go. So again, being a European company, I thought, well, what the heck? I toss a studio that happens to be based in Amsterdam. Those are DHD control boards, which is a German brand for consoles. But basically, our in that picture, you see mic arms, monitor mounts. There's a couple of camera mounts too, and they made that a really just small, efficient studio for one of the FM formats in Amsterdam. Then, if what we could do is, if I could see the next slide, and again, luckily my presentation's short, but I like to talk about creativity and that sort of things. This picture happens to be from iHeart in Denver. Their chief engineer happened to get a hold of me and actually at NAB one year and said, hey, we just got some money to build a Denver Broncos studio. And, what can we do? Could you do custom colors or paints or anything for us? And I kind of had to kindly tell him no, only because it was just for one room. But what we did was is that I happened to just visit his facility only months prior, and they had their own graphics department. So they were able to take our low profile mic arms, like you see in that picture there, and put in graphics for the Broncos and of course the color of the team to match up for the studio and make sure that they stood out enough. I actually had a competing station of theirs call me and go, what did you guys do to make your arms look so great in the Broncos studio? And I said, I really didn't do anything other than supply them arms, but they did all the graphic work. That's vinyl that's on those mic arms there. So, again, I love creativity in the industry, and that happened to be a picture that was sent to me by a chief engineer in iHeart in Denver. So we go to the next picture here, and that's another shot of that same room, just a different angle. They just made it again a simple video room with low profile mic arms, which I also want to talk about. In the industry, we've always been known for having the big, up and over your head style and in your face, microphone like an RE20 or an SM7 or something like that. But nowadays, the low profile mic arms with, again, wanting video friendly rooms has been extremely popular, especially coming out of the COVID pandemic period. I would say as a percentage, we're selling a lot more of the low profile mic arms than the standard mic arms. So go to the next slide, please. Let's see here. So I don't see it yet, but if we have the next one here. You can tell I'm a radio person, not a TV person, so not used to and I also have to apologize about having someone else control my slides for me.
Yeah, give me a sec. Laptop's not cooperating here. There's my X. There we go.
There we go.
That's like it.
There we go. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Ryan Seacrest Foundation. Of course, we probably all have heard about Ryan Seacrest, either being nationally syndicated as a radio show, but also being on so many places for TV and recently taking over Wheel of Fortune. Uh, 15 years ago, he and his family got together. He did a trip to a hospital down in Orange County, California, and it was a children's hospital. And he pretty much, after visiting the children and bringing some stars through to, sign autographs and that sort of thing, he discovered that, let's face it, children with cancer or going through, therapy in hospitals is not a happy place to be. And he is also looking ahead for creating a new people for media. And so he started he created a foundation with his family to build now what is now eventually 15 studios that are multimedia studios at children's hospitals all over the country. I don't know if there's one in Minneapolis, but I know there's one in Chicago and Philadelphia and Dallas and that sort of thing. In fact, I just attended a grand opening of another one last Friday in Atlanta. But what he does in that picture, you don't see the green screen, but they also create a green screen area and they have a TriCaster in there and they do a bunch of other things too. But they came to us and said, we'd like to have a modern looking facility at these locations. And, um, and so what we provided was low profile mic arms, as you see there, plus monitor mounts, the two computer monitor mounts. And then also we build light stacks up to 5 different colors. So you can see a status of a room. Plus on that pole, you see a extra large mic arm hanging over the console position. But for the children, what they do is that the foundation not only pays to build these studios, but they also staff them primarily with interns and also with a full-time staff member to allow these children to come in and say, hey, little Johnny, you like sports. Why don't you read the sports scores today? Now, all the I don't want to say hotel rooms, all the hospital rooms have the ability for these patients to see, both on video and on audio, music being played, children being the disc jockey for the day or going up to the green screen and being like the weather person for the day and that sort of thing. So again, we're glad to be part of this sort of build out, but I thought that picture was a great description of how we can make a typical a radio studio look very, very modern and very, very clean and approachable and that sort of thing. So if we go to the next slide, please, it'd be great.
Closest ones to us, by the way, appear to be Denver and Cincinnati.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Denver, Cincinnati. I know there's Boston, there's Charlotte, there is Orange County in California. They just opened up Salt Lake City last September, or actually December. And then Memphis and New York, actually near Brooklyn in New York. So that's a shot. These pictures were actually taken during COVID, where they actually did the grand opening on Zoom, by the way, due to the pandemic. But I decided to use some of these pictures from that grand opening. And this studio happens to be in Orlando. They standardized all the studios in the sense of cabinetry and equipment and that sort of thing. Each space may have a different sizing in it, or might have a different sizing area for video production. But in fact, the one they launched last week in Atlanta is the most unique one, to where it's an actual circle room where they actually have a half circle monitor that's probably about 4.5 feet tall and 10 feet wide, and it's actually curved into the wall there. But just thought I'd show you some basic ideas of our product in addition to what people use it for. But also, the Seacrest thing I thought was a great way of showing the product. So, and thought I'd share the good works they do too. So we can go to the next slide, please. There we go. That happens to be WLS in Chicago. Again, back to being an erector set. They really had to fit a lot of, 8 pounds in a 5-pound bag in that studio. But they were able to, again, use our mic arms in different sizes, and monitor mounts, a really nice, clean, modern setup for that sort of situation. Sadly, the company that built the cabinetry has since ceased operations about almost a year ago. But there are other companies that can do cabinetry that would look like that and that sort of thing. So if we can see the next slide, please.
Just out of interest, when you bring up cabinetry, does that include where my cursor is, that little signage, or who
Yeah,
makes?
that cabinet company that sadly has now ceased operations did that. They actually laser cut the legs and then put some sort of backlights in there. I do believe I can name probably one other company that can do it, maybe two. One would be maybe Forecast Consoles out of the New York area, and then there's another cabinet company called Westworld out of the San Diego area. They've kind of picked up the slack of where Onmurax, which was the company that ceased operations, left off. But that happens to be, again, the Cumulus facility in Chicago. So if we go to the next one, there we go. So this is Hubbard in Cincinnati. And I have to say that, again, a very, very clean build out there. I believe Vince Fiola at Yellowtec built the cabinets in this facility. But again, using a lot of our product in there. This is a situation to where not only do you see the mic arms, you also see our light stack there with the green light on there. You can see our monitor mounts. You can see our poles. Again, all and if you guys want to send me an email, I'd be glad to give you my email address at the end of this. If you want to have me send you a PDF of our brochure, that way you can pick and select what you want to build. But in this situation, this is Hubbard in Cincinnati, to where it was a brand new build when I took this picture, visiting the market probably about 2.5 years ago. And they did an excellent job for that facility with, I believe, 5 radio stations and like another 5 prod rooms and a big performance room. But in there, they maximized everything that we kind of have to offer between the camera mounts that are for in one of the other rooms for a morning show. But on the mic arms too, they also we have the ability to sell mic arms with on-air lights on the tips of them, so you can see status of them. In fact, if we could see the next picture, which I believe will be the mic arm in that facility there. So there happens to be a situation where they decided to do labeling on top of the on-air light, and also so you can see which mic number that is. And then one thing that they also chose to do, if you want to go to the next slide, because it will show you on our on-air lights and the tips, which are LED, if you notice it goes white. That is an option. It's a built-in option with the on-air light. If you flip polarity of the lights, it either goes white or red. And the reason why that exists is for router-based consoles, to where actually for our guys in Germany and also at public stations throughout Europe and BBC, they have a requirement to know what the status of every microphone is in the studios. And so, for example, if the light is off, that means that that mic is just not selected by any console in the facility, so it can't just automatically just be turned on. When it's in the white mode, it means that actually it's been selected by a console, so that microphone is ready to go on the air. And of course, red meaning it's hot and on the air. So that's a creative way of doing it. I also know at one facility, they decided using audio IP based consoles, to where when the red, that means they're on the air. When they're in white mode, it means you're recording in production mode. So that means that console's off the air and the room is actually, the mic's on in production mode. So you're not accidentally on the air with that. So we can go to the next slide, please. There we go. This happens to be a facility. I don't think they'll mind me giving the name of it. It happens to be, I happened to catch it in one of my travels. They were in the process of building that room as I was visiting that market. It's Summit Media in Omaha, Nebraska. They happen to have a large person morning show that also does video. And they also chose to, instead of actually having physical control boards at their facility, they've chosen to go with the Axia Altus-based system, to where the console is touchscreens, and so they're using our monitor mounts to hold those touchscreens. They're also using our mic arms to be for the host and co-host, and then all the low profile mic arms that you see kind of around there for all the guests for that room. Again, nice, clean, modern facility. the one thing that has definitely happened in our industry in the last, especially 5 years, but even more so in the last decade, is that I got my radio start when we played carts, carts, not even before CDs, and reel to reel only, and we had to have tons of space around our studios. These facilities now they're moving from buildings that are 20, 30,000 square feet down to 10,000 square feet or less to fit all the radio stations in and maximize their space. So, they've been converting over to our mic arms and monitor mount systems, to maximize the space in rooms. So if I could see another slide, please. That's a prod room. Again, it was a room that was in process of being built. Again, very simple, touchscreen based, using our monitor mounts, monitor arms, mic arms, etc. Touchscreen, and that's at that same Omaha facility for Summit Media. So that happens to be one of their build outs right there. So if we can go to the next picture, please. So out of nowhere, I get a phone call saying, "Hey, how do we?" They were used to wearing headphones all the time, kind of like a sports broadcast. Out of nowhere, the Dave Ramsey show got a hold of me and said, what does it take to use one of your low profile mic arms and make it kind of blend in and with our hosts and such. And again, that's where you get that nice clean video shot instead of somebody wearing a headphone and a microphone shoved in their face. So if we can go to the next shot, and I should be good close to my end here so you guys can really enjoy your lunch. But yeah, there's another shot of the Ramsey facility utilizing our mic arms. The funny thing I laugh at now is since these pictures I think I found them on Twitter or something like that. They have since used gaffer's tape to cover up our logos on the product. But and then if you go to the next shot too. And there we go. We're getting close to the end here. So here's an example. There's multiple ways of mounting cameras for studios. One way happens to be that you can actually mount it on a mic arm too. You can't hold a microphone too, but there's a situation where you can have a low profile mic arm with a very German microphone on it, and then you can use a mic arm to also hold a camera mount to put it in front of your face, and that sort of product there. And then if we can go to the next one, we do make some electronic products too. There's an example of a mic arm with you can wire it so the on-air light would trigger on so when the camera was hot, so that sort of thing. But I think on our next slide we'll show a little bit of our electronics line, of which they're copy stands. Again, we sell about probably about 150, 200 copy stands a year in the United States still. What he's holding in that picture too is that in our small model of the copy stand, you can also order a second piece, which is another plexiglass piece that has magnets in it. And so the copy stand itself has magnets, but also that other piece has magnets in it. So you can put like station emergency checklist or what to do in case EAS goes off, or all the staff phone numbers and that sort of thing behind that plexiglass. That way it's easy to find and deal with in a studio. So then we can go to our next slide here. And then what you see there on the tabletop on the right-hand side of it is our IntelliMix console. We make a 4-fader audio mixer that is in 2 models. One happens to be called the Focus, which is just 4 faders, very simplistic. It has 4 in, 4 out Dante on it, has 2 mics in, two line in, 2 unbalanced in and out. Also, 2 AS's ins and outs, and a USB 16 input and output plug on it. We also make a pro version of that model to where it could be layered 4 faders and 4 faders on top of it. So you can have 8 faders active at once. And then in addition to like the Focus with the 2 mics and 2 lines and 2 ASs and unbalanced, and the basic for channel Dante, we have an audio over IP card in there that speaks different languages of audio over IP. So in other words, rather than saying, hey, I'm a Livewire console, we speak Livewire Plus. So in other words, if you're a Livewire facility for Telos Axia consoles, you have the ability to utilize our console, our little mixer, for like a small prod room or edit bays or news booths or voiceover booths or that sort of thing. One thing we've also discovered is that in the network TV world, a certain place that has Mickey Mouse in New York City has 130 of these units in each of their edit bays for voiceover booths and edit bays for monitoring and that sort of thing. And so our audio IP card not only speaks Livewire, but it speaks Dante, it speaks Ravenna, and basically Core AES67 on it, and NMOS, which is another audio IP standard, which happens to be the one that that Mickey Mouse television outfit in New York City uses. So I think this might be the last slide, but let's see what the next one is. It's been a while since I've seen this one. Oh, we also came out for podcasters, USB sound devices. So you can have it feed a a microphone USB into a computer, kind of like a Focusrite. We also make an analog version too with line levels ins and outs to specifically go into computers, and we also make an AS only version of it too. And the fourth product, which is the one that's kind of highlighted in this picture, is that we've also rolled out for the podcast market. This has been a common thing in the podcast market, especially people using like roadcasters and that sort of thing. Let's say they I've attended quite a few podcast shows, and I had somebody walk up to me and say, "Hey, I just bought a roadcaster, a Shure SM7 or a Electrovoice RE20 microphone. I want to be able to have the light, trigger so that it can tell my family that basically quiet daddy's podcasting right now." And then in addition to that, unmute the microphone. Oh, and by the way, since I have that Shure SM7 or that RE20 as my microphone, going into the Rodecaster, which has no logic in it at all, it has a bit of hiss on it, and because it's a low level mic. So we created a box called the Hush, which is a box that takes the 5-pin XLR, which is from the microphone arm that is for the light and for the audio for the microphone. And then in there we have a mute unmute button. We also have a mic preamp in there, and then we also have a 3-pin XLR on the way out that would go into the Rodecaster. And then we have another little box that's basically an on-off cough switch, like a good old-fashioned radio station situation. So now you have the ability to have guests be able to turn on and off their mics, trigger a light, and then boost that level of audio in that mic preamp so that you don't have that hiss going into the Rodecaster. So, and then if we go to the next one here, and that might be my last one because that was our newest product last time I showed this.
Yep, that's your last slide.
That's my last one. So like I said, we make a lot of little things that can make life happy in a radio studio or a production studio or a prod room or a voiceover room for video production. So like I said, if any of you are interested, go ahead and ask for my email address, and I'll be glad to give it to you guys. And then I can email you a brochure of everything we make. We have about 200 parts in our product line. So it all adds up to, again, the world's greatest erector set. So that's it on my part.
Questions?
Wow, I really bored them. Well, again, my role here is to just share ideas for making effective studios. So I'm always available to be helpful. I'm the rep for this brand here in the United States. This is all I do, and so I take care of all the customers in the United States for this German brand.
Thank you, Jeff.
No problem.
Thank you for lunch. just
That's also no problem.
yeah, just for fun, this slide here, is that strong enough to support, say, an iPad, or would you
Yes,
have to upgrade to something?
actually, there's a side note. So at the Minnesota show that I attended, and sadly I missed this year's Wisconsin show. I happened to be already over in Europe for the IBC show, but we make a so what you see in that picture is one of our poles. We can do them in different lengths and custom lengths. That is also our small monitor mount on there. And then what you do is that you can snap on a copy stand like that. For your question regarding a iPad holder or even a Microsoft Surface holder, we actually make a holder specifically for iPads and tablets. In fact, I've had quite a few places use them for holding Microsoft Surfaces for those who need to have Windows. We sell a bunch of them for iPad holders, but we know it fits the entire. The iPad holder actually holds the iPad Pro, which is a pretty large unit, primarily in landscape mode. But that is a great question, and thank you for asking. But again, as you saw, I'm talking about parts and pieces here: a pole, a monitor mount. Okay, now what do you want to put on that monitor mount? In this case, in this picture we showed we put a small copy stand on there. We also make a large copy stand too, so you can have two sheets of paper next to next to each other. And we also sell through 13 resellers in the United States. So I have plenty of coverage on pretty much the big ones. I mean, like I was in New York last week, so a lot of people asked me if I sold at B&H, which we don't do, but we do sell through, the usual suspects, the BSWs, Broadcaster General Store, SCMS, Broadcast Depot, 305 Broadcast. Some of the RF specialty guys also sell some of our products. So we have 13 resellers here in the United States.
John, I know you just joined late. I want to give you an opportunity to ask questions as well, if you got any specific on your mind.
I'm sorry I'm late. I got pulled into my boss's office, so
Oh, that's a bad place to be.
it wasn't today. But no, I don't have anything specific. I just wanted I missed it, so maybe I can get the recording from you later.
Yep, it'll be on YouTube.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It'll be on the website too, link to YouTube.
All right, if there aren't any other specific questions from here in the room.
You gonna provide his email address, you said?
Yeah, why don't you just toss it out there for everyone, just for historical purposes.
Okay, so my email address is Jeff, Jeff, not the British way of spelling it. So Jeff at Yellowtec, YELLOWTEC.US. So it's Jeff at Yellowtec.us.
All right, looks like that pretty much does it for us. So thank you, sir. We'll let you get back to that lovely landscape back there.
Oh, I know. I got to go up and visit mom and dad in the mountains, so I'm glad to be up here.
It's Mark Persons here. I do have a question for the SBE 17 group, and the question is, what does anyone know what happened to WCCO TV studios downtown Minneapolis, August 5th? They were off the air for half a day, generator failure or something. Does anyone have the answer to that one?
Yes, failure. Their primary UPS went down and they had problems getting to the backup. And Gary, their chief engineer, was on vacation.
Bad luck.
Yeah,
What brand was the UPS?
that I'm not sure. Right. I don't think
That's
that
a good question.
they kept up on the battery. They knew that they had to replace batteries in it, something like that. And it hadn't been done yet. So yeah. So then when the power went out downtown here, they were hosed. Which I don't mind because every time that happens, I say to our people, look, we were up.
Yeah. Just for fun, how many people call you anyway, thinking that you're still kind of married that way?
Yes, we get phone calls for the TV station all the time.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much for your time and for the food. We are greatly appreciative of that.
No problem. I'm glad to be part of your group. I'm honored to be invited. I appreciate your time today. I hope you learned something new and enjoy the lunch.
Thank you.
We certainly have. Take care,
All right.
everybody.
Take care.